Welcome to i-tutor Academy. In today's session, we will start with the Unit 11, that is testing of hypothesis. So let's say the objectives of this chapter. Upon successful completion of the unit, you should be able to understand the meaning of statistical hypothesis, absorb the concept of the null hypothesis, appreciate the importance of the significant level and the p-value of the test. Learn the steps involved in conducting a test of hypothesis. Perform tests concerning population mean, population proportion, difference between the population mean and two populations and proportions. Structure of this unit are introduction, some basic concept, hypothesis testing procedure, testing of population mean, testing of population proportion, testing for difference between means, testing for difference between proportion, and summary self-assessment exercises are there. And introduction is in this unit, and the next we shall study a class of problems where the decision made by decision maker depends primarily on the strength of the evidence thrown up by the random sample drawn from a population. We can elaborate this by an example where the purchase manager of a machine tool making company has to decide whether to buy casting from a new supplier or not. The new supplier claims that his casting have higher hardness than those of the competitors. If the claim is true, then it would be in the interest of the company to switch from the existing supplier to the new supplier because of the higher hardness, all other conditions being similar. However, if the claim is not true, the purchase manager should continue to buy from the existing suppliers. He needs a tool which allows him to test such a claim. Testing of hypothesis provides such a tool to the decision maker. If the purchase manager were to use this tool, he would ask the new supplier to deliver a small number of castings. The sample of casting will be evaluated and based on the strength of the evidence produced by the sample. The purchase manager will accept or reject the claim of the new supplier and accordingly make his decision. The claim made by the new supplier is a hypothesis that needs to be tested, and a statistical procedure which allow us to perform such a test is called testing of hypothesis. What is hypothesis? A hypothesis, or more specifically a statistical hypothesis, is some statement about the population parameter or about a population distribution. If the population is large, there is no way of analyzing the population or of testing the hypothesis directly. Instead, the hypothesis is tested on the basis of the outcome of a random sample. Our hypothesis for the example situation 11.1 could be that the mean hardness of casting supplied by the new supplier is less than or equal to 20, where 20 is the mean hardness of casting supplied by existing suppliers. A two action decision problems. The decision problem faced by the purchase manager in 11.1 above has only two alternative courses of action, either to buy from the new supplier or not to buy from a new supplier. The alternative chosen depends on whether the claim made by the new supplier is accepted or rejected. Now, the claim made by the new supplier can be formulated as a statistical hypothesis as has been done in 11.1 above. Therefore, the decision made or the alternative chosen depend primarily on whether hypothesis is accepted or rejected. Okay, next one is some basic concept. So, first one is null hypothesis. The stated earlier, a hypothesis is a statement about population parameter or about a population distribution. In any testing or hypothesis problem, we are faced with a pair of hypotheses such that one and only one of them is always true. One of this pair is called the null hypothesis and the other one is alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is represented as H0 and the alternative hypothesis is represented as HI or H1, you can say. Okay, so these are the hypothesis process. Okay, this is about null hypothesis, and type 1 and type 2 errors are in between, and since we are basing our conclusion on the evidence produced by a sample, and since variation from one sample to another can ever be eliminated until the sample is as large as the population itself, it is possible that the conclusion drawn is incorrect, which lead to an error. That is like that, and this is hypothesis moreover we are using in projects and all. Okay, there is a first one is there is a hypothesis thinking and there, and with this help of the hypothesis we are moving on the PhD problems like that, research paper, etc. Okay, so like that. And significance level. In all tests of hypothesis, type 1 error is assumed to be more serious than type 2 error, and so the probability of type 1 error needs to be explicitly controlled. This is done through specifying a significant level at which a test is conducted. The significance level therefore set a limit to the probability of type 1 error, and the test procedure are designed so as to get the lowest probability of type 2 error subject to the significance level. A significance level H, the area of the shared region. So here is the one picture is there, and next one is the power curve of a test. Let us go back to the purchase manager's problem refers to earlier, where we set up our hypothesis as follows. These hypotheses imply that the purchase manager would normally accept the null hypothesis that the mean hardness of casting delivered by the new supplier is not above 20, in which case no purchase order need placed with the new supplier. And here is an equation based that probability of rejecting H0 when C is equal to 20.25. This is like a chart, and figure 3 also here. Power curve of a test is like this, and you just refer this your Ignou material, and through the chart and equations it will more clear. The p-value of a test. We have seen earlier that the test of hypothesis is designed for a significant level, and at the end of the test we conclude that we reject the null hypothesis at 1% significance level, and so on. As discussed earlier, the significance level is somewhat arbitrarily fixed, and the mere fact that a hypothesis is rejected or cannot be rejected does not reveal the full strength of the sample evidence. And alternative and is some base, a better way of expressing the conclusion of a test is to state the p-value or the probability value of the test. So the p-value of a test is here. And next section is hypothesis testing procedure. So what are the procedure? Here is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 and step 5 is there. First of all, state the null and alternative hypothesis. Step 2 is choose the test statistics and the sample statistics that will define the critical region. And step 3 is specify a level of significance of sigma and define the critical region in terms of the test statistics. And step 5 is compare the observed value of the test statistics with the cut-off value or the critical value and decide to accept or reject the null hypothesis. So here is activity A and activity B, activity C also here. You just try to do these activities, it will help you for your more understanding. And this is about today's section. So you just refer your Ignou study material MMPC005 and chapter 11. Okay. In between any doubts, you can contact us. For more Ignou MBA videos, you just do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
i-tutor Academy presents Ignou MBA complete syllabus coverage classes for individual students, semester-wise subject with online and flexible timing. For more details, contact on +916 238 21785.